The next time someone asks you, or if you are among those who ask, can Muslims and non-Muslims coexist? Remember, the answer was given 1400 years ago in Medina. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Imagine this. You're living in a city where different tribes, faiths, and backgrounds have been clashing for generations. Distrust runs deep, violence is common, and suddenly a leader arrives. Not as a conqueror, not as a tyrant, but as a unifier. His goal is to create a society of peace, of justice, and a place for everybody. That leader was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that city was Medina. And what he established was nothing short of revolutionary, the Constitution of Madinah. When the Prophet ﷺ made the migration from Mecca to Medina, he wasn't just escaping persecution. He was stepping into a deeply divided society. The people of Medina were from different tribes. You have the Aus and the Khazraj, who have a long history of tribal warfare and conflict. You also have the Jewish tribes of the city who have their own interests cut out and their own alliances. And you also have Muslims, a new community trying to find its place within the city. Now bring all of these groups together and imagine that without structure, now this project was very fragile and could easily collapse into chaos. But instead of coming and ruling as a tyrant by force, the Prophet ﷺ did something extremely profound. He built a system of government, one that was built on justice, on cooperation, and on mutual respect. The Constitution of Medina, also known as Sahifat al-Medina, was a written social contract that established the rights and responsibilities of all citizens of Medina, Muslims and non-Muslims alike. It outlined religious freedom. For example, the Jewish tribes had complete autonomy in practicing their own faith. A spirit of collective security, where in case of an attack, all groups would bond together and protect the city. And most importantly, justice for all. No tribe, no individual was going to be above the law. Mutual respect was dominant. Different communities could coexist. They could live with one another, but they had to respect each other. A single community, declaring that all signatories of this constitution were now one community bound by the spirit of justice. And this is not just a peace treaty. This was a groundbreaking model of government that was centuries ahead of its time. Many of us live in societies of people with different backgrounds. And here in the United States, the American Constitution guarantees freedom of religion and equality before the law. Now, does this sound familiar? The Constitution of Medina laid a very similar foundation, a society where different people, different backgrounds, could coexist with dignity. But here's a very key difference. The Constitution of Medina was not just a legal document. It wasn't just about laws, it was about values. The Prophet ﷺ didn't just write policies. He nurtured a culture of justice, of respect, of responsibility that transformed the core of society from within. Islam embraces diversity. The Prophet ﷺ was not there to erase differences. He was there to embrace and create a framework that promoted coexistence and mutual respect. Justice is for every single human being. The Constitution of Medina was not a document exclusive to Muslims alone. A strong society is a society that upholds fairness for all, irrespective of who they are. We have a duty as Muslims to build better communities. Whether in our masajid, in our schools, in our neighborhoods, we should work towards unity, not division. And don't ever for a second think that the Constitution of Medina was a document produced out of randomness. This was a framework that the Prophet ﷺ gave to us as Muslim Americans on how to engage with the society around us. So the next time someone asks you, or if you are among those who ask, can Muslims and non-Muslims coexist? Remember, the answer was given 1400 years ago in Medina. Our faith calls for us to build bridges, stand up for justice, and contribute positively to our society. Let's follow that example, inshallah. Remember, Islam is not just about internal personal faith. It is about action. Assalamu alaikum.